The Same-origin policy is a critical security mechanism that restricts how a document or script loaded by one origin can interact with a resource from another origin. It helps isolate potential malicious documents, reducing possible attack vectors. For example, it prevents a malicious website on the internet from running JS in a browser to read data from a third-party webmail service, which the user is signed into, or a company intranet, which is protected from direct access by the attacker by not having a public IP address and relaying that data to the attacker. Definition of an origin. Two URLs have the same origin if the protocol, port, and host are the same for both. You may see this referenced as the scheme host port tuple or just tuple. A tuple is a set of items that together comprise a whole, a generic form of double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, etc. The following table gives examples of origin comparisons with URL. Inherited origins. Scripts executed from pages with an about blank or JavaScript URL inherit the origin of the document. Since these types of URLs do not contain information about an origin server, for example, about blank is often used as a URL of new empty pop-up windows into which the parent scripts writes content, e.g., via the window open mechanism. If this pop-up also contains JavaScript, that script would inherit the same origin as the script that created it. Data URLs get a new empty security context. File origins. Modern browsers usually treat the origin of files loaded using the file protocol scheme as opaque origins. What this means is that if a file includes other files from the same folder, they're not assumed to come from the same origin and may trigger course errors. Note that the URL specification states that the original files is implementation dependent, and some browsers may treat files in the same directory or subdirectory as same origin, even though this has security implications. Change origin. Warning. This approach described here using the document domain setter is deprecated because it undermines the security protections provided by the same origin policy and complicates the origin model in browsers, leading to interoperability problems and security bugs. A page may change its own origin with some limitations. A script can set the value of document domain to its current domain or a superdomain of its current domain. If set to a superdomain of the current domain, the shorter superdomain is used for same origin checks. For example, assuming a script from the document at http://store.company.com dir/dir/other.html executes the following. Afterward, the page can pass the same origin check with company.com/dir/page.html. Assuming company.com/dir/page.html sets its document domain to company.com to indicate that it wishes to allow that. See document domain for more. However, company.com couldn't set document domain to other company.com, since that is not a super domain of company.com. The port number is checked separately by the browser and equal to document domain, including document domain equals document, causes the port number to be overwritten with null. Therefore, one cannot make company.com 8080 talk to company.com by only setting document domain to company.com in the first. It has to be set in both, so their port number are both null. The mechanism has some limitations. For example, it will throw a security error DOM exception if the document is in a sandboxed iframe, and changing the origin in this way doesn't affect the origin checks used by many web APIs, e.g. local storage, IndexedDB, broadcast channel, shared worker. A more exhaustive list of failure cases can be found in document domain failures. Note: when using document domain to allow a subdomain to access its parent, you may need to set document domain to the same value in both the parent domain and the subdomain. This is necessary even if doing so is setting the parent domain back to its origin value. Failure to do this may result in permission errors. Cross-origin network access. The same-origin policy controls interactions between two different origins, such as when you use fetch or an image element. These interactions are typically placed into three categories. Cross-origin writes are typically allowed. Examples are links, redirects, and form submissions. Some HTTP requests require pre-flight. Cross-origin embedding is typically allowed. Examples are listed below. Cross-origin reads are typically disallowed. But read access is often leaked by embedding. For example, you can read the dimensions of an embedded image and the actions of an embedded script, or the availability of an embedded resource. Here are some examples of resources which may be embedded resources which may be embedded cross-origin. JavaScript with script tag. Error details for syntax error are only available for same-origin scripts. CSS applied with link. Due to the relaxed syntax rules of CSS, cross-origin CSS requires a correct content type header. Browser's block stylesheet loads if it is a cross-origin load where the MIME type is incorrect and the resource does not start with a valid CSS construct. Image is displayed by IMG. Media played by video and audio. External resources embedded with object and embeds. Fonts applied with font fast. Some browsers allow cross-origin fonts, others require same-origin. Anything embedded by iframe sites can use the xframe options header to prevent cross-origin framing. How to allow cross-origin access? Use CORS to allow cross-origin access. CORS is a part of HTTP that lets servers specify any other hosts from which a browser should permit the loading of content. How to block cross-origin access? To prevent cross-origin writes, check an unguessable token in the request, known as a cross-site request forgery token. Cross-site request forgery token. You must prevent cross-origin reads of pages that requires this token to prevent cross-origin reads of a resource. Ensure that it is not embeddable. This is often necessary to prevent embedding because embedding a resource always leaks some information about it. To prevent cross-origin embeds, ensure that your resource cannot be interpreted as one of the embeddable formats listed above. Browsers may not respect the content type header. For example, if you point a script tag at an HTML document, the browser will try to parse the HTML as JavaScript. When your resource is not an entry point to your site, you can also use a CSRF token to prevent embedding.